You have a perfectly good checking account at your local bank. Your savings account is right next to it, maybe even linked with a single click. So when you see that $5,000 sitting there, earning almost nothing, it's so easy to transfer it over when you want a new TV, a vacation, or just to cover an unexpected bill. That's the problem. Your emergency fund is not supposed to be convenient. It's not supposed to be easy to access. It's supposed to be there for true emergencies. A job loss, a medical crisis, a roof collapsing. And the single most effective way to protect your emergency fund from yourself is to put it in a completely different bank. One that you don't see every day. One that takes 2 to 3 days to transfer money from. The psychology is called out of sight, out of mind, and it works because it adds friction. And that friction can save your financial life. If you stay until the end of this video, you'll learn exactly why keeping your emergency fund in the same bank as your checking account is a dangerous mistake, how the psychology of friction can prevent you from raiding your savings, and the step-by-step process to set up a separate, high-yield emergency fund account that you can't touch impulsively. I'll also share the best online banks for 2026, how to automate transfers so you never have to think about it, and the one exception where you should keep a small buffer in your primary bank. My name is your name, and today we're going to make your emergency fund truly untouchable. Let me start with a story that will sound familiar to anyone who's ever dipped into their savings. A viewer named Maria had saved up $10,000 in her emergency fund. She was proud of herself. The money was sitting in a savings account at the same bank where she had her checking account. One day, she saw a beautiful sofa on sale for $200. She had the money right there. She thought, I'll just take $200 and replenish it next month. Next month came, and she didn't replenish it. Then her car needed new tires, another $800. Then she booked a weekend trip, another $500. Within 6 months, her emergency fund was down to $3,000. Then she lost her job. She had only 3 months of expenses left. She panicked. She told me, I didn't realize how easy it was to spend that money until it was gone. Maria's mistake was not a lack of discipline. It was a lack of friction. When your emergency fund is sitting right next to your spending money, your brain treats it as available. The psychological barrier to transferring money is almost zero. But when your emergency fund is at a different bank, one that takes 2 days to transfer funds, you create a speed bump. You have to think twice. Is this really an emergency? Does it warrant the hassle of a transfer? That split second of friction is often enough to stop an impulse raid. The psychology of friction, why out of sight works. Asterisk, behavioral economists have studied this extensively. The concept is called choice architecture. When you make a behavior easier, people do it more. When you make it harder, they do it less. The classic example is the cafeteria that puts healthy food at eye level and junk food in a hard-to-reach corner. Same principle applies to your money. By putting your emergency fund in a separate bank, you are intentionally adding friction. You have to log into a different app, navigate to a different account, initiate a transfer, and wait 1 to 3 days for the money to arrive. That's enough time to ask yourself, do I really need this? Is it a true emergency? In many cases, the answer will be no, and you'll save your emergency fund for a real crisis. A 2025 study by the Financial Health Network found that people who kept their emergency fund at a separate institution were 40% less likely to dip into it for non-emergencies compared to those who kept it at their primary bank. The effect was even stronger for those who set up automatic transfers and didn't have a debit card linked to the account. Out of sight, out of mind is not just a saying. It's a scientifically proven method for improving financial behavior. The dangers of a linked savings account at your primary bank. Asterisk, let me list the specific reasons why keeping your emergency fund at the same bank as your checking account is a bad idea. First, instant transfers. Most banks let you transfer money between savings and checking instantly on your phone. That's one click. One click from your emergency fund to your spending account. That's too easy. Second, overdraft protection. Many banks automatically pull from your savings to cover checking overdrafts. That means if you accidentally overspend, your emergency fund gets raided without you even making a conscious decision. Turn that feature off immediately. Third, psychological proximity. When you log into your banking app, you see your checking balance and your savings balance side by side. Your brain categorizes them as my money. There's no mental separation. You are more likely to spend from savings because it feels like a single pool. Fourth, lower interest rates. Big banks often offer paltry interest rates on savings accounts, 0.01% to 0.0. If your emergency fund is earning nothing, you are losing purchasing power to inflation. A separate high-yield savings account can earn 4-5% APY in 2026. Fifth, temptation. That new phone, that weekend trip, that holiday sale, when the money is right there, the temptation is constant. Moving it to another bank removes the temptation because you have to go out of your way to access it. Asterisk, the 2026 strategy, where to put your emergency fund. So where should you put your emergency fund? The best solution is a high-yield savings account at an online bank that has no physical branches, no debit card linked to the account, and a 1-3-day transfer time to your primary bank. In 2026, the top options include Ally Bank, 4.20% APY, 4.40, SoFi, 4.30% AP Bank, 4.35% APY. These banks are FDIC insured, have no monthly fees, and offer competitive rates. The key is that they are separate from your primary bank. You don't see their balance every day. You don't have an ATM card for the account. You don't have instant transfers. For a more advanced option, consider using a no-penalty CD or a treasury bill ladder. These offer higher yields, up to 5.5, but slightly less liquidity. The key is that they have even more friction. You have to break the CD or wait for the T-bill to mature. That's even better for preventing impulse raids. But for most people, a separate high-yield savings account is the sweet spot. Step setting up your separate emergency fund. Here's exactly what you need to do. In order, step 1. Open a high-yield savings account at an online bank that is not your primary bank. I recommend Ally or Marcus. Do not link a debit card to this account. Do not request checks. Step 2. Set up an automatic transfer from your primary checking account to this new savings account on every payday. For example, if you get paid bi-weekly, transfer $200 each payday, automated. You won't miss money you never see. Step 3. Once the account is funded, do not install the bank's app on your phone if you think you'll be tempted to check it constantly. If you do install it, log out after each use. Add a layer of friction. Step 4. Set a rule. You will only transfer money out of this account for a true emergency. Define what counts as an emergency: job loss, medical emergency, major car repair, home repair that threatens habitability. Not a vacation, not a sale, not a gift. Step 5. If you need to access the money, initiate a transfer from the online bank to your primary checking account. It will take 1-3 business days. That's by design. That waiting period gives you time to reconsider. Step 6. Keep a small buffer of $500 to $1,000 in your primary savings account for minor, non-emergency but urgent expenses, like a last-minute plane ticket or an unexpected vet visit. That way you don't have to raid your main emergency fund for small stuff. The one exception: keep a small buffer at your primary bank. As I just mentioned, You should keep a small buffer in your primary savings account, say $500 to $1,000. This is for those medium emergencies that aren't catastrophic but still need immediate cash. If your car needs a $400 repair, you don't want to wait 2 days for a transfer. That buffer is your first line of defense. But the bulk of your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses, should be in the separate high-yield account. The psychology of automated savings, why it works. When you automate your savings, you are leveraging the same principle of friction, but in reverse. You make saving effortless. You set up automatic transfers on payday, and the money moves before you can spend it. You never see it, so you never miss it. This is the most powerful wealth-building tool available to the average person. Studies show that people who automate their savings save twice as much as those who don't, even with the same income. The reason is simple. Willpower is a finite resource. Automation removes the need for willpower. You decide once, and the system executes forever. Your emergency fund grows without you having to think about it. What about joint accounts? How to set up a separate emergency fund as a couple. If you're married or living with a partner, you have two options. You can open a joint high-yield savings account at a separate online bank. Both of you will have access, but the friction still applies. Or you can open 2 separate accounts, one for each partner, and agree to use them only for emergencies. The key is to have a conversation about what constitutes an emergency. Define it together, write it down, refer to it when tempted. Real example, how a separate bank saved $10,000. A viewer named Carlos had a $15,000 emergency fund in a separate online bank. He had a separate buffer at his primary bank. One day he saw a motorcycle for sale that he'd always wanted. It was $8,000. He thought about transferring money from his online bank, but the 2-day wait gave him time to reconsider. He realized it wasn't an emergency. He didn't buy the motorcycle. A year later, he lost his job. That $15,000 paid his rent and groceries for 6 months while he found a new job. He told me, "If that money had been in my primary bank, I would have bought the motorcycle and been broke when I lost my job. The separate bank saved my life." The 2026 high-yield savings landscape. As of May 2026, the best high-yield savings accounts are paying between 4.0% and 5% APY. Let me give you specific options. Alibank, 4.20% APY, no minimums, no monthly fees, excellent mobile app. Marcus by Goldman Sachs, 4.40% APY, no minimums, no fees. SoFi, 4.0% APY with direct deposit, otherwise CIT Bank, 4.35% APY, on balances over $5,000. PiBank, 4.6% APY, no minimum. All of these are FDIC insured up to $250,000. They have no physical branches, and transfers typically take 1-2 business days. They do not offer debit cards by default. You can request one, but don't. They are perfect for an emergency fund. What about credit unions? Some credit unions offer high-yield savings. Local credit unions sometimes offer high-yield savings accounts with competitive rates, but they may have requirements like direct deposit or minimum balances. The advantage is that they are often even less convenient than online banks. You might have to visit a branch to withdraw large amounts. That's even more friction. But check their rates before you decide. The mistakes you must avoid. Let me give you the most common mistakes people make when setting up a separate emergency fund. Mistake 1, linking the account to your primary bank with instant transfer. Some online banks offer instant transfer between linked accounts. Do not enable that. It defeats the purpose. Use standard ACH transfers that take 1 to 3 days. Mistake 2, getting a debit card or checks for the account. Don't. The whole point is to make it hard to access. If you have a debit card, you'll be tempted to use it. Cut it up or never activate it. Mistake 3. Not automating contributions. If you have to remember to transfer money each month, you'll forget or deprioritize it. Set up automatic transfers on payday. Make it automatic. Mistake 4. Keeping too much in the primary bank buffer. That $501,000 buffer is for minor urgent expenses. If you keep $5,000 there, you'll spend it. Keep it small. Mistake 5. Not checking the interest rate. Your emergency fund should be earning a competitive rate. If your bank is paying 0.01%, move to an online bank today. Asterisk. A final story. The power of friction. I want to tell you about a couple, Tom and Sue. They had a joint savings account at their local bank. They kept $30,000 there, 6 months of expenses. They were proud, but they also had a boat, and every spring they would dip into that savings to pay for boat maintenance, summer camp for the kids, and a vacation. By the end of the summer, they were down to $20,000. Then winter came, and they dipped again. They never replenished. After 3 years, they had only $10,000 left. Then Tom lost his job. They had only 2 months of expenses. They had to borrow from family. They learned the hard way. Now they have a separate online bank. They don't see the balance. They don't have a debit card. They have a rule. No transfers for anything except job loss or medical emergency. Their emergency fund is now back to $30,000 and growing. Tom told me, the friction saved us from ourselves. Asterisk. Your action plan. Do this today. Here's what you need to do in the next 24 hours. First, open a high-yield savings account at an online bank that is not your primary bank. I recommend Ally or Marcus. Do it now. Second, set up an automatic transfer from your primary checking account to this new account on your next payday. Start with whatever you can afford, even 50 deals a month. Third, do not order a debit card for this account. If they send one automatically, cut it up and throw it away. Fourth, if your primary bank offers overdraft protection from savings, turn it off. You don't want your emergency fund bleeding into your checking account. Fifth, keep a small buffer of $500 to $1 in your primary savings account for minor urgent expenses. Sixth, define what counts as an emergency. Write it down. Share it with your family. Seventh, commit to not touching your separate emergency fund for 12 months. After that, you'll have built the habit. Eighth, comment below. My emergency fund is moving to a separate bank today. I'll reply to the first 100 comments. If this video saved you from raiding your own savings, hit the like button. It helps others protect their emergency funds. Subscribe and turn on notifications. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to invest $5,000 for maximum growth. A risk-adjusted portfolio. Emergency 6. Your emergency fund is your financial airbag. Don't keep it in the glove compartment where you can reach it easily. Put it in the trunk. Out of sight, out of mind, and watch it grow. I'll see you in the next video.